What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Therapy, where I, Chase Lee, talk to you, as my therapist, the audience, about a movie that I've seen, and maybe if I'm on the fence about something, or just I'm not really sure about what I just watched, I'm going to talk it out with you guys, have a natural conversation with it, and we'll see if I come up with a conclusion, That's what the whole thing about this is, that I just want to talk to you guys about something that I have seen. So the movie I want to talk about right now is Men. Now, this one comes to us from A24. It is written and directed by Alex Garland, and this one tells the story of a young woman, played by Jessie Buckley, who goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband. So going into this, I was actually kind of excited. Alex Garland, to me, is a fantastic filmmaker. When you look at his resume, it's all over the place, but I've enjoyed pretty much everything that he has touched. So whether it be Writing 28 Days Later, great little virus film. Never Let Me Go, he also wrote that one. That's also a nice little romance. Ex Machina, Annihilation, which I will die on that hill and say Annihilation is one of the best science fiction films, one of the best films of 2018, and one of the best films of the 2010s. I absolutely adore that film. It's sensory overload. It is thought-provoking, and it is mesmerizing the whole way through. Fantastic little film. All that to say that Men is a misstep. I don't really care for this film. Don't really care to watch it again. And to be quite honest with you, I think this film would have been fine if it were a short film. Because there's a lot of great stuff in this when it comes to story and character and really building emotional intensity. But I think dragging this out to an hour and 45 minutes was, I think, a mistake. Because by the time it got to the end, I really just wanted it to be over. I got all the themes. I got all the messaging that Alex Garland was trying to shoot through the story with. I got all of it. I was not confused by any of it. I didn't think it was too weird or abstract. I mean, it is weird, but it's not the type of David Lynch weird where you have to watch the movie a million times and then go on YouTube and find theory videos and still be confused by it. This one's pretty straightforward. I just think for the subject matter, this could have been more potent as a short film rather than a full-length feature. So, let's dive into it. Let's start with director and writer Alex Garland. From a visual standpoint, I think this film looks fine in some scenes and then actually flourishes in other scenes. He really utilizes a lot of shadows, a lot of visceral and creepy imagery to really kind of get under your skin. Some of the lighting is really nice. So I think from a visual standpoint, it looks horrific. It looks beautiful at times. It looks fine in other scenes. So it's kind of like a mishmash. But I think from a visual standpoint, I think, he does just fine. And when you look at stuff like Ex Machina and Annihilation, he really understands special effects and CGI and how to blend that and make it look really just visceral and real and just really in the scene and make it feel like it's a part of the scene. He does that here to some extent, but it looks fine overall. The main thing that people are going to be talking about is the story and its thematic messaging targeted towards men. So here's what I gathered from it, is that this story, at the center of it, is a woman who is going through the grieving process. By the way, I'm just going to talk about spoilers here. Unless you are that iffy about Men spoilers, then click away. But in order to talk about this movie openly and kind of discuss its themes and everything, you gotta talk about everything that's going on. So at the core of this story is Jessie Buckley's character, where her ex-husband dies because they were on the verge of getting a divorce, and he pretty much blames her for, if you get a divorce from me, I'm going to commit suicide. So basically putting her in emotional manipulation and really making her feel guilty about the whole situation, even though a marriage is a two-way street. So right off the bat, you kind of get the hint that, like, all right, Alex Garland is going for the jugular and saying that this film is about toxic masculinity and the swaths of men out there who use these tactics on people in their lives. Okay, I got it. And then as the movie progresses, you know, when she's in this English countryside, she meets Rory Kinnear, which, by the way, I have no issue with the acting or the performances in this film. They're outstanding, especially from Rory Kinnear, who plays every single male part. And Alex Garland did that on purpose to also kind of highlight that that all the men in the view of Jessie Buckley's character, all men are the same. They might have like different clothing or different personalities, but at the core, all the men are the same in this movie. And that is a problem because all of them have insidious tendencies brewing beneath them. And I don't think Alex Garland is saying that all men are like this. Even though it is the visual metaphor in the film, I think it is just within the film universe. Alex Garland is also a man. I highly doubt he would just be like, yes, all men are terrible. You got to take that to heart. We're all just bad. I agree there's a large portion of men out there that act like this in the movie. But to say that all men are like this is that's not good. Because that's just not the case. There's a large portion out there that are, but to imply that would be really dumb. But I don't think he meant that. I think he meant it in this universe. And so, yeah, I got all that, and I got what he was going for in terms of displaying men in this type of world and how toxic they can be. I also got what he was trying to say with the whole like rebirth of man and having this like abusive cycle that men are and they never change. So every time when someone would die in this film, whether it be by Jessie Buckley's hand or whatever, they would always come back as like this slimy naked man baby, and every time they came back, they got progressively more in tune with Mother Nature, I think that's what he was going for. That one was a little iffy on it. I didn't really know what that one was about. But every time when man would come back, it would basically just repeat the same abusive process and emotional manipulation and toxicity. And it was a cycle that was just never broken. Once again, I got all that from Alex Garland and what he was trying to say. What else? Oh, the final line of this film. Yeah, it was one of those ones where you thought there was gonna be some type of emotional resolution for like her and her ex-husband, who she kind of sees in visions and everything, and it's like, no, he still has the same thought process. It's kind of horrifying. It's not something to laugh about. I'm just saying that when you go through this whole journey and you realize that, yeah, the cycle is not broken, all the men are the same in this world, doesn't matter where you come from, that's really sad and depressing. But yeah, I will say, in the overall kind of viewpoint of men in this universe, what I really liked about it the most was Jessie Buckley and her ex-husband and how that relationship was, how it devolved, what her stance was, what his stance was, and knowing that there's couples out there like that, and you know, some couples just don't work out, and some couples have abusive partners and they emotionally manipulate, and that was really sad to watch, and that was really emotionally effective. And I thought that the core of this entire movie, that dissolving marriage and what happens and how she is blamed and like what he does, like I thought that was really powerful stuff. And I think that's once again getting to the point of this could have been a 25 to 30-minute short film, and I think it would have been more effective. But like I said earlier, the performances are actually really good. Jessie Buckley is a treasure, by the way. I'm glad that she is getting more work. I'm also glad that she was nominated for her first Oscar last year for The Lost Daughter. She's great. I have no issue with her. I actually have no issue with Rory Kinnear either. Guy plays all the parts in this movie. All of them have distinct personalities and looks and just the way they carry themselves. And I thought he was really diverse in his roles. And it was absolutely terrifying, some of them as well. But yeah, I thought the commitment between him and Jessie Buckley was really cool to watch. I liked even taking this bizarre idea and running with it 120% was really, I admire it. It was really fun to see. But yeah, I also liked some of the, it might have been too on the nose, but I like some of the visual metaphors that Alex Garland was also telling visually instead of through dialogue or through story. Well, I guess it's a part of the story, but you know what I mean. There was a couple of them that I thought were really interesting. One, he plays with a lot with dandelions. You know how dandelions are the flower you pick up, you blow, and the seeds just spread across the wind or whatever and do their thing, right? And if they land in the ground, hey, they grow some more, right? I thought that was an interesting metaphor for how, because there was a couple times where the dandelions were featured as like the seeds were just blowing off and just going everywhere. And it is a sexual metaphor, but definitely a metaphor for men just, how do I put this, PG, laying their seed everywhere and not really having any consequences. They just kind of do it, and it could affect a lot of things all at once. And so I thought that was interesting. And then actually one of my favorite ones was when Jessie Buckley in the movie goes through this tunnel. It's a very magical tunnel. It's very beautiful. It's kind of alluring. You're just like you kind of want to go explore in it, and like it kind of connects two parts of the forest, and it's a really just kind of a beautiful structure. And she sings into it, and it echoes, it travels down, and she creates like a nice little song out of it. And she's having the time of her life. Like she is finding peace and comfort in something that does not involve her ex-husband, involve her life currently. She's just in the moment. She's in this tunnel, right? And then at the end of the tunnel is this weird, creepy man who stands up and starts running in it. Like running after her. And she runs away. Very quick little scene, but that kind of encapsulates the whole mood and the whole atmosphere of this film, that the men in her life are all the same and they all come after her, and they don't understand what they're doing, or maybe they do and they just do it maliciously. But there's always a haunting of this type of man that is always going to follow her because she experienced it with her ex-husband. Now she's experiencing it with all the men around this countryside. But what I liked about the tunnel scene was that she found peace and comfort in something, and a man just sprinting down it with no care, no warning, just kind of doing his thing. You can put two and two together. So I thought that was an interesting scene. And I think that whole scene kind of encapsulates the whole movie and just everything about it. But yes, to kind of like wrap it up, I understood what Alex Garland was going for. I don't think I was... I don't really have any questions about anything. Maybe like the whole Mother Nature thing. Maybe it's just that simple. I have no clue. But I didn't think it was like, David Lynch weird, where you have to like I said, like you have to watch it 20 times and you have to watch theory videos online. No, pretty straightforward. I just really think for the story that it was trying to tell and what was going on, I honestly believe you make this into a short film, it would have been way better. Like this should have been like the short film that Alex Garland made after Annihilation, before he made his next big one. So, yeah, I like the performances. I like some of the ideas. Some of the scenes are edited well and crafted to just peak terror. But I don't really recommend it. I mean, if you're curious, go for it. But I have no desire to watch it again. And I think that this is one of the weaker A24 films. And definitely the weakest Alex Garland film. So, there you go. So, thank you for joining me on this session of Movie Therapy. I am Chase. This was my conversation of men. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think down below, whether you liked it, loved it, or hated it. And thank you for letting me just kind of ramble on about this. But that will do it for this Movie Therapy. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for the next conversation we shall have. I'll see you guys later.